You're listening to Snippets from the Summit with your host, Scott McKay.
Oh, how's it going, gentlemen? My name is Scott McKay from X&Y Communications, and you're tuned in to another Snippet from the Summit as part of the Mountaintop podcast from X&Y Communications. First and foremost, since this particular podcast is dropping on Christmas Eve 2024, I want to wish you guys a very, very Merry Christmas wherever you are, to those of you who celebrate. And in honor of Christmas, I'm sort of loosely calling this episode Joy to the World. And I think you'll know exactly what I mean once we get rolling with this. Let me set this particular premise up that I'm going to share with you today this way. I think most of us as men, we think in big terms, and we think without a whole lot of gray area. You've heard me talk about that before. So in other words, if we're going to meet a woman, we're thinking, okay, I need to go big or go home. I really need to send it. I need to give this woman something incredibly impressive so that by shock and awe, she's going to want me. And by the same token, I also think that a lot of us as men are really protective of coming off as very manly. And we see that as being tough, perhaps stoic, and doing a lot of manly things. Well, what I'm going to share with you today, I can promise you, is something you've never ever heard, but it works like gangbusters with women. And at the same time, it flies in the face of both of the premises I just cited, whereby we as men love to go big or go home, and we are really protective of our manliness. Your first thought when I share this with you is going to be, man, that is a nothing burger, and I'm not even sure it's really manly to do it. Well, bear with me, and I think I can persuade you. When you make women feel safe and comfortable, and you take yourself less seriously, we know it's like catnip to women, okay? Now, those two premises, making women feel safe and comfortable, obviously, a lot of us as guys think, yeah, you know, the manlier I am, the tougher I am, the safer and more comfortable she's going to feel. The part about taking ourselves less seriously would involve stopping smelling the roses and having a little fun, which a lot of us as guys are allergic to. And, you know, we've talked about that on previous snippets for sure. Well, what if there was a way to make a woman feel safe and comfortable and to take yourself less seriously, and it was as practical as it gets? Now, see, this is where I think this is going to be helpful. A lot of you guys are thinking you have to have this big production to impress a woman, like I said. Well, here's truly an alternative approach to try that I've never heard any other dating coach or dating expert talk about. The first step as a man is to start looking around and look for little things in life that make you happy. For example, if you hear a song and you haven't heard it in years, and you find that the corner of your mouth turns up, it made you happy. It wasn't big. It wasn't getting a promotion at work. It wasn't winning the freaking lottery. You may have just, like me, happened across an old black and white video of Nat King Cole singing the Christmas song, which is the chestnuts roasting over an open fire song. I love that song. And to see Nat King Cole in all his smoothness singing it was something that just made me happy. So what you're doing is you're looking for things that make you happy and you're filing them away. It may be a small possession you have. Emily's son was really into very small things you could buy from Amazon probably about 10 years ago that were like $5, but really cool. And he bought something he thought was really cool, and he sent Emily and I both one, and it's a nightlight that goes in your bathroom. And what it does is it has a mushroom, surrounded by a couple of, little leaves or whatever. And the mushroom cycles from red to blue to green, and it comes from Asia. And it was very Asian, and it reminds me of my trips to Asia every time I see it in the bathroom to this day at night, and it makes me happy. Start looking for the little things in life that make you happy, right? When I was in college, I drove a Suzuki Samurai, and some of you guys are probably young enough you don't even know what I'm talking about. But it's a little Japanese Jeep, right? And I hadn't seen one on the road in years. I saw one the other day at a stoplight, and it made me happy to see it because I hadn't seen one in so long. Little things that make you happy. So you catching the theme here? Are you guys tracking with me? You're curious about everything, but you're not too cool or too good to enjoy the simple life pleasure of anything. Now, again, I fully realize that some in the masculinity movement may think that's not very manly. Men should be dead serious about everything and only care about major issues and crises and never with a smile on their face. But gentlemen, life isn't like a Yellowstone episode. Have you ever noticed that nobody on Yellowstone seems to be ever having any fun, and they're usually not really all that good with women? Well, here's the deal. Real life is a lot different than what we see on TV. From the top down, I might add. Donald Trump, for gosh sakes, is doing happy dances to YMCA, and NFL players are joining him. So I think that's all the proof you need that doing something silly and finding some happiness in something very small isn't going to be an affront to your masculinity. You can still make good decisions. You can still be able to handle a crisis. You can still be calm, cool, and collected when you have to be, but you can also be very curious about small things, and then you can collect those small things and turn them into micro stories. Okay? So what do you do with those micro stories relative to women? Well, the first thing we know already is that when we're warm and light, that warm levity I talk about, it causes women to feel safe and comfortable. And when we as men make women feel safe and comfortable, women's feminine nature gets turned on. So then, okay, when you've taken inventory of these small things or moments that make you happy, you can share them, even within a minute of meeting her, or to kick off a first date. A couple years ago, I happened to be out front in my yard gazing up at my trees, and I noticed two yellow eyes looking back at me. And it turns out it was a screech owl, and I'd never seen one in the wild before. I've seen the bigger owls lots, and I love them, but never the little guy. And he looked at me like, "What? What are you doing here?" And it made me happy. Like this little dude's not even half a foot tall, and he's up there 15 feet away from me Breaking Bad, and it made me laugh. And I talked to that owl for a couple minutes, and I showed him to my daughter, who was delighted. And the next day I came out and he was there again. Well, he actually ended up staying for a couple months. That was his go-to place during the day when he was trying to get some shut-eye, if I'm not there bugging him, right? And one time, a young mama in the neighborhood with a 5-year-old came by walking the neighborhood, and I said, "Hey, would you like to see my owl?" And both the kid and the mom were kind of tentative at first, but as soon as I showed them my owl, they were delighted. It's a small thing that makes me happy, and I'm sharing it with someone female. Also children, for that matter, right? Gentlemen, there's magic in whimsy like that. Women delight in sharing these moments of fun, playful, happiness with you. In fact, if a woman doesn't kind of track with you at first on this, I'd go so far as to call it out in a playful way. Well, then what's a small thing that's made you happy lately? If she draws a blank, I don't know if I would talk about my mushroom light and my Suzuki Samurai to a woman. She probably won't think that's as whimsical. But if you get into the habit of being curious about everything and letting small moments and sightings and things you taste, smell, touch in your life make you happy, then you'll have a whole collection of owls, animals, kids, and romantic stuff to draw from that really will capture that whimsy in a woman's spirit. And I'm telling you guys, this is something you can put to the test. And I believe where the rubber meets the road is here. It's not like you're bragging about something major in your life trying to impress her. But as much as I've talked about being observant and mentioning something about the woman before, you're also not in any danger of putting her on the spot over something. It's something innocuous. It's something third party. It's something you happen to observe, and you're bringing her along for that ride. And the next thing you know, it's like a micro story, right? She's delighted with you. She feels safe and comfortable with you, and she likes you, and you have done something no other men do. And gentlemen, if on the off chance everything fails here with a woman, well, you might want to check her pulse, assuming she's really female, and then say next, because she's never going to be any fun anyway. Merry Christmas once again to all you guys. And if you want to talk about this or anything else, it's Scott@mountaintoppodcast.com. Be good out there.
As always, visit mountaintoppodcast.com for more.